Hi everyone, I welcome you all to today's class. In this class, I'm going to walk you through what you need to know about function, the types of function, and the examples of function. Along the line, I'll be showing you what we mean by the variable, the types of variables, and the examples of variable. But before I get started, if you are new to my YouTube channel, try and subscribe to it just for you to be aware of when I drop a very nice mathematics questions and the topic. So because sometimes I do solve some complicated problems and for the math lovers, and even if you are not onto math, as far as you see my very nice way of solving, so you will become the fans of mathematics. Let's get started. So today we discuss function. But what do you like the word function in mathematics? So you might be hearing of functions. So the function in mathematics is just very simple. So I will relate it to father and the son. So if you are talking of father and the son came out from father, right? And the father gave birth to the son. So, but that father and the son, let me just use son. So there is what we call father in mathematics and the son in mathematics. So the father in mathematics, so we call it codomain. While son, we call it domain. So now, there is a particular rules that connect the father and the son together. So the rules that connect the father and the son together, we call it function. But how can we go with the definition? The definition of a function relating to the father and the son, I mean the codomain and the domain. So to define it, he said function is a mapping whose codomain is a set of real number. So what do you mean by the word real number in mathematics? The real number in mathematics is given as R. So the real numbers are the number that can be positive, negative, zero, fraction, rational number, irrational number, and others like that. They are real number. So when the element of a codomain is a set of real number, we call it a function. So there are various types of functions. We have inverse functions, we have one-to-one functions, we have onto functions, and others like that. But the function I'm going to show you today, they are different from the one you know. So we call them special types of function. But before I highlight them, so I want to explain more on the what by codomain and the domain. Suppose we are given a particular function. Let's say the function is f of x is defined on x plus 1. So given f of x equals to x plus 1, and suppose x, since we said the member must be the set of real number, it can be positive, it can be negative, it can be fraction, even it can be rational and irrational number, and others like that. So if this x equals, so suppose I sample just 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So by taking each of these elements and insert it to this particular function, so in accordance with the given x plus 1, so we are going to get the value of codomain, which is the father. So let's say at x equals to 1, so by putting f of 1 here, we are going to have this one to be 2. By putting f of 2, we are going to have this one to be what? To be 3. So all these 2 and 3, we call them codomain, which is the father. You see that 1 here, it mapped to 2. 2 here, it mapped to 3. So similarly, the next one that we are going to get, which is equals to 4, we also map to all this. You see, the output we are getting here, they are also the set of real number. As I define real number as the positive number, negative number, fraction, and others like that. So the set that we are going to get for that codomain will also be a member of real number. So that we mean by the word function. So let's see the different types of functions that we have in mathematics. I mean the special types of functions, as I've stated earlier, that we have some function like the inverse function, the one-to-one function, the onto function, and others like that. But the special function I'm going to show you today starts with, so the first one we call it constant function. Constant function. What are the words for constant function? So it's a particular function that a constant value is directly assigned to. So if you have something like h of x equals to a, you see, we define this function based on x, but what is given here is not related with x, so we call this one a constant value. So when this side is not related with the inner part of this function, so we call it constant function. We have a here, we have x here, they are not the same. So another example is, let's say you have f of x equals to b. All this one, they are constant function. So the second one is the linear function. So a function is said to be linear function if the degree of the variable is 1. As far as the degree of that variable is exactly 1, so we call it linear function. For instance, if you have g of x, let's say g of y equals to y. You see, I wanted to write x before. If I write that x, so we are still referring to the constant function, because any value we have here must be part of this other side. So, but if you check the highest power of this one, so the degree of this one, of this y equals to 1. So we call this one linear function. If the highest power is not more than 1, so it is linear function. Either it is only that variable we have there, or it is connected with any of the operation, let's say positive, negative, so we call it linear function. So if the degree is not more than 1, so we call it linear function. Another example is, let's say you have h of k equals to k plus 5. So the degree of this k, as far as it is related to this, so we call it a linear function. Okay, let's take another instance. If you have like f of m equals to x plus 3. Okay, what can we call this type of function? Is it linear function or the constant function? It is absolutely constant function, because what you have here is not doesn't correlate with what you have here. So all this value here, you know, we have m here, which is an alphabet. We have x here, which is an alphabet. But as far as what you have at this side is not inside this particular function, so everything is constant. So the next function we are going to consider here is quadratic function. So what do you mean by the word quadratic function? It's a type of function in which the highest power is exactly 2. Either the given function is binomial or is trinomial. As far as we have a particular alphabet here that take on 2 as a power, so we call it quadratic function. So, you know, let's say we have f of x, the number 3, we have it to be quadratic function. So as defined is that if the highest power of that particular variable is exactly 2, we call it quadratic function. So for instance, given h of x equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. Yeah, so this is a typical example of quadratic function because the highest power of one of the variable here is 2, and this variable is the one enclosed in the bracket at this side of the function. So automatically this one is a quadratic function because we have the highest power to be 2. So now if you consider this as well, we still have another variable which take on the power of 1. So we don't consider that. So we consider the one with the highest variable is the one that will determine the type of functions that we are dealing with. So we call this one quadratic function. But don't be surprised that you see another value at the left hand side of this. Yeah, so there is what we call this. So we call them the coefficient of that particular variable. So if this one is the variable, this one is known as the coefficient. Coefficients are the numerical value. What are the numerical value? Are the numbers like 1, 2, negative, fraction, and others that they are numerical value. So most of the time in the question, you will see numerical value attached with the variable. So you don't have a problem with that. Just call it the coefficient of that particular variable. Okay, another example is if you have, let's say, g of y equals to, we have 4x squared plus 3x plus 3. This one is a quadratic function because part of this take on 2 as the highest power. So we call it quadratic equation. Okay, can you consider this? Let's say we have f of L equals to x squared plus 3x. Now, what can we call this? Is it a quadratic function? No. This is not a function again, or a quadratic function again, because what we are giving here is n, but it has mixed with what we have here. So they are not correlate. This is not a function. This is, okay, let's say automatically a function, but it's a function of what? Constant function. So another function we are going to consider here is the polynomial function. The polynomial function. So this type of functions is the one which has the highest power starting from 3 upward. If the degree of that power is 3 upward, so we call it polynomial function. Don't misquote me. What I mean by the word polynomial can be cubic power. It can be power of 4, which is quantic. It can be power of 5, which is quintic, and others like that. As far as the power starts from 3 upward, we call it polynomial function. So, for instance, let's say we have f of j equals to aj raised to power of 3 plus bj raised to power of 2 plus cj plus d. All this one, they are the examples of polynomial function. As far as the power of this one is more than 2, it's a polynomial function, and it is defined based on what is enclosed in this bracket. So they are not different from each other, so it's an automatically polynomial function. So another example that I will use to buttress more on this polynomial function is, let's say for instance, you are given m of x equals to 7x raised to the power of 5 plus 6x raised to the power of 4 minus 3x raised to the power of 3 plus 2x squared plus 7. So this one is another example of polynomial function. So this m I used here, it can be anything. Function can be anything. Just sample any alphabet, then take it as your function. As far as what is enclosed in the bracket is correlated with all the variables that we have at the other side. So you don't have problem with any alphabet you use as your function. So the next function we are going to consider here, which is function number 5 as part of the special function, is exponential function. Exponential function. So the word exponential function, if a particular variable, or let's say we have a number that take on a power. So what I mean by the word power is, let's say we have a constant value, then it take on the power that is not constant. I mean, it take on the power that is variable, then we call it exponential. But there is one particular symbol that always denotes the exponential form of a function, is e, and that e is very powerful. So whenever you have e like this, so this is the exponential symbol. When something is exponential, that is, the thing is very high, the thing is increasing. It is increasing, that is, it is rising. Yeah, let me just use that one. So that is the word exponential. So exponential is also part of the function. So given that if you have a function of x equals to exponential of x, as far as you see this symbol in a question, so we call it exponential function. But it doesn't end there. Yeah, so don't just see, if you see ordinary e is an exponential function. So I can have exponential function as, let's say you have g of y equals to 2 raised to the power of y. This 2 raised to the power of y is also an exponential function. So from your indices, so when something is exponent, that is when a number that take on something that has a power. So we call this one base, we call this one power. So everything here is an exponent. So from the word exponential. So if you are with me, let's go. So these are the types of exponential function and not more than that. So the next function I'm going to say is logarithmic function. Logarithmic function. So the logarithmic function is the one that take on the logarithm values. Yeah, so let's say we have f of y equals to the log of y. So this one is an example of logarithmic function, but this one is normal log. So in some cases they might not use log, so they might decide to use a special symbol, which is ln. So let's say we have ln y, it also refers to what? To logarithm. Though if I say it refers to logarithm, so in this special function we consider them the same. But if you press your calculator, you press ln and the log of a particular value, they will give you different answer. But here we consider them the same thing as far as this function is concerned. So we have log here and we have ln. So we call this one the natural logarithm. So why we call this one the normal logarithm. So and the next function we are going to consider here is the trigonometric function. Yeah, the trigonometric function, and after that, so we consider another one, which is the hyperbolic function. To save the time, that's why I'm mentioning all these type of function that you need to know. Being number 7 type of function, we call it trigonometric function. Trigonometric function. So the trigonometric function, they are going to take the special trigonometric function. So what are the special trigonometric function? Like we have sine, tangent, cotangent, secant, cosecant, and others like that. Those are the types of trigonometric function that we have here. Suppose we have f of x equals to sine x. So these are example of trigonometric function. So this is sine, is a special function. Okay, if you have, let's say you have f of y equals to cos of y. So this is an example of trigonometric function. Let's say you have h of k equals to cosecant k, so we call this one trigonometric function. Or let's say you have g of f, yeah, equals to secant f. So all this one, they are the special trigonometric function. There are more than this as far as the time goes on. So we are going to know, we are going to familiarize ourselves with different types of functions that we have. Don't forget, if you are new to my YouTube channel, once again, please hit that button just for you to be aware of when I drop a new video. So another form of function is number 8, hyperbolic function. So this is another type of function that's related with trigonometry. But the difference is, here I'm only having sine x, cos y, all those things. But when it take a particular alphabet added with the real function, so we call it hyperbolic. So how are you going to know that alphabet? So the alphabet is always represented as h. So as far as you have h attached to a particular variable that we defined on a function, so we call that one hyperbolic. So they are just like trigonometry related, but the only difference is they will have a special character attached to that particular function. So for example, on a hyperbolic function, let's say you have f of y equals to sine h y. You see what I mean? So we have another value here, which is h. So that h makes this function to be hyperbolic. So we hype it. Yeah, from the word hype, we hype this particular function. It gives it more functionality. Okay, let's say you have g of x equals to sec hx. So all these one, they are the special types of function that we have. So there might be more than this, yeah, but those that we need here, let's say the basic that you need to know are the one that I just shown you right now. So this will be the end of the class. But before I go, I have a special package for you. So here are the package. What they are going to do for me is you are going to give an identification to all these types of functions or function. Then you drop the answer in the comment section below. So identify all these. Suppose we have f of x equals to exponential of sine x plus x squared ln x. Number 2, if you have g of x equals to x raised to the power 4 plus 3 over x minus cos x. Number 3, if you have h of x equals, we have h of x equals to x raised to the power 3 plus c. Number 4, let's say you have f of y equals to sine y minus ln y exponential of x. So these are the packages I have for you. Thank you for watching again. Please don't forget to drop the comment in this let me just call it the homework. Drop the comment section. Let me see your understanding on the topic we just discussed right now. So thank you very much. I will see you in the next class. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. There is more for you. Subscribe and be alert of when I drop a new video. Thank you very much. Good day. See you in the next class.